Special Ops vs. El Mencho, How They Nabbed the Cartel Kingpin. Intro. For years, he was the world's most wanted ghost. A man with a $15 million bounty on his head who commanded a narco-empire more sophisticated than many national armies. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, seemed untouchable. He outsmarted, out-bribed, and outgunned everyone who came for him. The hunt for El Mencho has become one of the most intense manhunts in modern history, a secret war waged by elite forces. But what would it actually take to catch him? How does a ghost get caught? This is a story of what that final, high-stakes operation could look like. A glimpse into the secret war to capture a kingpin and the violent chaos that would inevitably follow. Hook. There are criminals, there are kingpins, and then there's the man they call the Ghost. A narco-lord so elusive, the United States government placed a $15 million bounty on his head, rivaling those for top terrorists. He leads the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, a ruthless organization that, in 2015, downed a military helicopter with a rocket-propelled grenade just to help him escape an operation. For years, the most elite special forces from Mexico, backed by the intelligence might of the U.S., have been locked in a brutal war to take him down, and they've captured his son, his wife, and his top lieutenants, tightening the noose piece by piece. But the Ghost himself always vanishes. What would it take for that to finally change? Let's imagine a scenario where the world's most successful game of hide-and-seek comes to a violent end. Section 1, The Rise of an Empire. To understand the monster, you have to understand how he was made. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes wasn't born a kingpin. He started as a small-time drug dealer in California, where he was arrested in the early 90s for selling heroin. After prison, he was deported back to Mexico, but the man who returned was different. He was ambitious, cunning, and he had a terrifying gift for strategic violence. He joined the Mencho cartel, learning the trade, but his vision was always bigger. After the Sinaloa cartel began to fracture, El Mencho saw an opening. He broke away, founding the cartel Jalisco New Generation, or CJNG, and the CJNG wasn't just another cartel, it was a paramilitary force. El Mencho ran it like a CEO, expanding his territory with terrifying speed. His business became global, trafficking tons of fentanyl, cocaine, and meth into the United States and beyond. His calling card was extreme, public brutality. The CJNG didn't just eliminate rivals, it made gruesome examples of them, using social media to broadcast its savagery and intimidate its enemies. In 2015, the world saw just how far El Mencho was willing to go. During a government operation to capture him, his men used a rocket-propelled grenade to shoot a Mexican military helicopter out of the sky. It was a brazen declaration of war. He wasn't just a trafficker, he was a paramilitary commander who saw himself as an equal to the state. With every near miss and act of violence, the legend of the Ghost only grew, and so did the pressure on both sides of the border to finally stop him. Section 2, The Hunters Enter the Game. The hunt for El Mencho is a massive, technologically advanced operation. On one side, you have a phantom protected by an army of loyal sicarios, a network of corrupt officials, and a masterful understanding of the rural mountains of his home state. On the other, the elite of the Mexican military, the Army Special Forces and the National Guard, backed by the full intelligence apparatus of the United States, including the DEA and CIA. U.S.-Mexico security cooperation, while often strained, has been a cornerstone of these efforts for years, from the Merida Initiative to the Bicentennial Framework, all aimed at tackling organized crime. The strategy isn't just to chase the Ghost himself, it's to dismantle his kingdom around him. A slow, patient game of cutting off the limbs to kill the snake. For years, they've chipped away at his inner circle. They captured his son, Ruben Oseguera Gonzalez, El Menchito, and extradited him to the U.S., where he is now serving a life sentence. They've arrested his wife, Rosalinda Gonzalez Valencia, a key financial operator for the cartel. With every capture, they gain more intelligence, painting a clearer picture of the man at the top. But El Mencho is disciplined. He stays off the grid, constantly moving between rustic hideouts in the mountains of Jalisco, never staying in one place for long. He is a master of counter-surveillance, a ghost in his own territory. Section 3, A Hypothetical Final Operation. So, how could it all end? In a plausible scenario, the breakthrough wouldn't come from a satellite or a drone. It might come from a weakness as old as time, a human connection. Intelligence agencies know El Mencho has maintained several romantic partners. Imagine investigators identifying a trusted associate of one of these women and patiently tailing him. One day, that patience pays off. The associate escorts the woman to the remote mountain town of Tapalpa, Jalisco, for a meeting with the kingpin. The location could be a place like Cabañas La Loma, a vacation compound the U.S. Treasury actually sanctioned in 2015 and 2017 for its links to the CJNG. Surveillance would confirm it. After years of dead ends, a concrete location. The woman might depart after her visit, but El Mencho, feeling secure in his mountain fortress, could remain behind with his elite security team. The trap would be set. In the pre-dawn darkness, the operation would launch, a symphony of military precision led by Mexican Army Special Forces. To maintain the element of surprise, the primary assault would be a ground operation. Special Forces would move on foot to establish a perimeter, while helicopters full of reinforcements hold back as air support. As troops close in, the compound would surely explode in a fury of automatic weapons fire. The CJNG security detail, a heavily armed group of sicarios, would unleash a violent defense, trying to buy their boss time to escape. In this hypothetical firefight, El Mencho's gunmen would be cut down. A specialized team would split off, pursuing El Mencho as he flees with his bodyguards into the surrounding woods. This would be the final chase. The Special Forces team would corner him in the undergrowth. In a final, desperate firefight, El Mencho and his bodyguards would be critically wounded. A helicopter would be called in for a medical evacuation, racing towards Mexico City. But in this scenario, it would be too late. Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, the world's most wanted ghost, wouldn't survive the flight. Section 4. The Inevitable Aftermath. The death of a king doesn't bring peace, it brings chaos. If El Mencho were killed, the CJNG would almost certainly respond with a campaign of retaliatory terror on a scale Mexico has rarely seen. History shows that taking out a kingpin often leads to a violent power vacuum. Across numerous states, CJNG cells would likely launch coordinated attacks. They would torch vehicles, block major highways with burning trucks, and attack gas stations and convenience stores. A major city like Guadalajara, a host for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, could be turned into a ghost town by the violence. Flights would be cancelled and embassies would issue urgent shelter-in-place warnings. The final toll from the operation and its immediate violent aftermath could be staggering, with security forces, cartel gunmen, and innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. The cartel's furious response would be a final bloody testament to the power El Mencho had built. It would prove that while the head of the serpent has been cut off, the body is still thrashing, still venomous, and still incredibly dangerous. CTA. The war against organizations like the CJNG is incredibly complex, where victories often lead to more uncertainty. If you want to understand the intricate dynamics of these conflicts, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into this shadowy world. We read every comment, so let us know your thoughts below. What happens to a multi-billion-dollar narco-empire when its leader is gone? Conclusion. A successful takedown of El Mencho would be a monumental victory for the Mexican government and its U.S. allies. It would represent the culmination of years of intelligence work, sacrifice, and relentless pursuit, executed with military precision. It would prove that no one, not even a figure as powerful and elusive as the Ghost, is truly untouchable. But his death would also leave behind a terrifying power vacuum. The CJNG is a global organization with ambitious lieutenants and factions, like those led by figures known as El Sapo, or Elzo III, all ready to fight for control of its incredibly lucrative routes. The question that hangs over Mexico is a chilling one. Does the death of one monster simply pave the way for newer, more ruthless monsters to emerge from the chaos? The hunt for El Mencho may be over, but the war for what he leaves behind will have only just begun.